Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming down here to City Hall today as the city of Pittsburgh begins to mark June as the Pride Month here in the city of Pittsburgh. My name is Maria Montano. I am a proud transgender woman, and I am honored to be serving as Communications Director for Mayor Ed Gainey in the city of Pittsburgh. This year marks 50 years of Pride celebrations in the city of Pittsburgh. This is a momentous occasion for our city, who has a strong, proud, and rich history of fighting for the rights of LGBTQIA+ individuals, and we are a leader in the country in terms of fighting for and protecting those rights, and is proud to be here today with members of council, with the members of the LGBTQIA+ Commission, to be able to speak on behalf of Mayor Ed Gainey and the city. This is a tough time for members of my community. Right now, there are over 400 pieces of legislation moving throughout the country, seeking to strip away rights such as which bathrooms I could use, what health care I can have, taking kids away from their parents to do nothing more than love their children unconditionally, making felons of doctors who provide life-saving, critical, gender-affirming care, all while threats to hospitals and doctors and others increase who provide this care to members of our community. It is an honor to be here today, and I'm deeply proud of my city, my hometown, the city of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh City Council, and all the members of the commission who are standing here today. Because here in Pittsburgh, we don't just say we support you, we live it with our values. We fight for them every day. We put people into positions to make choices and changes and to challenge when so many other people have said that people like me should never be at a podium like this. We are here today to celebrate Pride and to let everyone know that we're going to continue to fight for the rights of LGBTQI+ people here in Pittsburgh and everywhere we can. It is now my greatest honor to introduce Councilmember Bruce Krause.
Good morning, everyone. This is a momentous occasion. I don't know that we have ever had a more important time in which we need to openly celebrate the wonders of our community. As Maria was saying, I don't remember a time when we have been as systematically under attack from, shall we say, less than honorable political forces. I had the good fortune to come out in 1972, so you count the years. I think it's getting close to 50 years that I've had the privilege to live my life openly as a gay man. And through that experience and through those ups and downs, I just don't ever remember a time that was so malicious and so callous and so organized and orchestrated to demean and diminish this community that we love so well. And so I've struggled to stay on a positive path leading up to Pride, and have done a good bit of soul searching and introspection to sort of understand how and why we are at this place and time. And the more I thought, the more I came to the realization that the more I give brain space to the chatter that is out there, the more I really diminish my own experience of celebrating Pride for all that we are yet to be, and what we contribute to humanity. And so I have let go of the chatter and the noise of the airwaves and focus solely on what Pride means. And it is a public recognition of the love that we have for ourselves, the love that we have for our community, and what we bring to the world. Just think what the world would be like. It would be a very boring world without LGBTQIA plus people in it. And I personally can't imagine a time that could possibly be. And so we take this moment to sort of do an inventory, if you will, of who we are, what our community is, and we take to the streets, and we march, we dance, we laugh, we sing, we celebrate who and what we are and what we contribute to the world, and we let go of the shackles that some would wish to put upon us for that moment in time, and let it go and celebrate passionately all that we are and all that we bring to this world. And so with that, we wanted to take this moment in time to recognize the importance of our community, all that we bring to it, and to kick off the month of June in a very positive fashion, and to say, this is Pride, and this is who we are and what we do and what we bring to the world, and let's celebrate. So with that, I would like to introduce co-chairs of the Mayor's Commission, LGBTQIA plus Commission. And if you'd like to come up and share collectively, however you wish to do that, you're welcome to do so. Sue Kerr.
Thank you, Councilman. Good morning, I'm Sue Kerr, and I am one of 3 co-chairs of the LGBTQIA plus Commission of the City of Pittsburgh. We are now in our 2.5 years mark, which is impressive and very, very exciting. I just wrote a few things down. You know, this is our 50th anniversary of LGBTQIA Pride in Pittsburgh. The first gay pride was in June, I think June 17th, 1973, and less than 50 individuals met at Point Park and marched through the streets. And I wonder sometimes, you know, would those individuals have imagined that today we would have hundreds of pride events, celebrations, gatherings across the region? No, that's not just in the city of Pittsburgh, but some are very large, like the Pittsburgh Pride Revolution and the People's Pride. Others, though, are more modest, like we have the first gathering in Vandergrift this year. We had the second Pride in Newcastle. The Shenango Valley is having their second Pride, and Indiana Borough is having their first Pride. And the courageous residents of Indiana Borough had to go before their council to demand their right to have a permanent event. And that reflects the spirit and defiance of 1973 as well as anything I can imagine. I know that we represent Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh is part of this larger region, and I think that there's a lot of ties there. Last week I spent the first weekend of Pride at the kickoff event in Newcastle, up in Lawrence County, and it was an event labeled a 5K color run, but it was really a Pride gathering. They still couldn't call it a Pride event, which says a lot, doesn't it? And a parent and teen came up to my table, and mom commented that her child was trans, so I extended my hand and said, "Hi, I'm Sue, it's nice to meet you," and made full eye contact. And this young person took my hand in that sort of like tentative, uncertain way that young people who aren't really accustomed to that first acknowledgement. And they said, "I'm Charles, it's nice to meet you too." And it was a 30-second exchange, but the kind of pleasantry that we all take for granted most of the time. But the ear-to-ear grin on Charles' face told me that he did not take it for granted at all. And in that moment, I wasn't a co-chair or a representative of the city or a social worker or a blogger or any of the other hats that I wear. I was one person making an effort to validate and honor the identity of a young person. I was being the adult who I needed when I was a young person in a community that did not see me, did not appreciate me, and did not protect me. The city must do all that we can to fight against the forces of hate, for freedom from discrimination, and to protect the health and safety of LGBTQIA plus youth, so they may grow up in a city free of bias. The city of Pittsburgh stands in opposition to the rising forces of hate in our country that have led to the proliferation of anti-LGBTQIA plus legislation and the perverse use of lives of our LGBTQI plus youth as a wedge issue for political gain. Charles is not a wedge issue. There's still a lot to be done. The LGBTQI Commission has been working diligently for 2.5 years as an independent and insistent voice within city government. We are pleased that the city's focus in proclaiming Pride Month includes the totality of our beautiful community that it serves. And in so doing, the city of Pittsburgh is now closer in reality to the government that all young people deserve, one that sees them, one that appreciates them, and one that protects them. It took 50 years to get from Point Park to this podium. I'll see you all in 50 more years and figure out where we're at that point. I must confess I stole some of that language from Billy Hellman, who'll be speaking after me, hopefully not the language he was going to use. It's an honor today to accept this proclamation on behalf of the community, the entire community, and I hope that, we'll have many more opportunities to do so. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Billy Heilman. I am one of the LGBTQIA plus commissioners for the city of Pittsburgh, and I'm the secretary of the commission. And the things that I want to, in brief remarks I want to make, I have to say that so that they are brief. The brief remarks I want to make today touch on what both Bruce and Sue have said, but also to remember that we're here because of Stonewall. And Stonewall was an uprising. It was we are not taking this anymore. And the people who did that were young. They were Puerto Rican, they were black, they were white, but they were just beyond being children. And they said no, and they got bloodied, and they got hit with billy clubs. And it was a bloody event. People were hospitalized. We can't forget the severity of the oppression that leads to human beings willing to take that. But they were also homeless youth. And they were homeless because the brutality that they experienced in their families was every bit of what the police did to them on June 27th, 28th, 29th, 1969 in Greenwich Village. We need to remember that. Now, since that time, and since 1973, in our city and across our country, we've made progress. We have civil rights protections. We can serve openly in the military. We have domestic partner protections along the way. We have job place protections. We have marriage equality. But the rate of suicidality among youth from 40 years ago to today has not changed. What are we going to measure our progress by? Our youth are not safe. They got us here. What are we going to do now in the city of Pittsburgh to protect trans youth? What are we going to do now? 45% of LGBTQIA youth consider suicide. 20% make an attempt at suicide. Trans youth, non-binary youth are reporting heightened rates of anxiety, depression because of the conversation around the laws that are in the state houses across the country. What are we going to do to change this? We have protections for adults. The people who got us here are being left behind. Our city government needs to take action, but I want to talk to businesses, to people who interact with youth in this city. You have to keep it front and center that when somebody comes into your store and they're gender nonconforming and they're black, that your employees need to treat them like a prince or a princess. No longer are we going to allow the climate and culture of our city to be unwelcoming to children. So, we are celebrating. That's kind of a brutal way to say we're celebrating, but we're doing this because that is the spirit of Stonewall. Pride is political. It's a celebration, but it's also a call to action. And now is the time that we need to take that action because of what's happening to our children. If you are in a positive environment in your home or in your school, the rate of suicide attempts is cut in half. And we need to recognize that, recognize what's happening, and make this day, 50 years after the first Pride Parade, which, by the way, 1973 was when the American Psychiatric Association ended homosexuality in their documents as a mental disorder. 50 years. So we've made a lot of progress. But what we are doing is harming the mental health of non-binary, transgender, queer, LGBTQIA+ youth. And we need to end it, and we need to start today. Thank you.